Hey, what's up? Good morning to you. Welcome to part 3 of our series on Umpire Mechanics. So today I'm using my computer in a screen share environment to give you a graphical representation of the mechanics of what happens when the ball is hit. So our first two parts of the series focused on what umpires do to communicate with each other, and also then talked about what happens when when the pitcher and the batter, an at bat basically. So now we're going to focus on what happens when the ball is hit, but more importantly, most of the situations are going to be when the ball is fair, and we're also going to talk about where base runners might be, where the umpires are going to be, and what their movements are going to be once the ball is put into play. So here, what we have here is the first situation. Here we have a batted ball with no runners on base. So obviously, there's going to be two different situations that are at work. So let's say there's the standard ground ball to the infield. So let's say the ball is hit, and the ball is hit to the third baseman. So the ball will be over here in this area. So what's going to happen is you, as the plate umpire, obviously you're going to first hang out and make sure that the ball stays fair. Once you see that the ball stays fair, your job is to move up the line here, maybe about halfway. And if you know the ball's going to be fair, like if it's hit to the shortstop, you can start this motion right away. Just make sure you don't run into the catcher. A lot of catchers will come and run up the first base line to back up the first baseman. So you'll move up into that position, and over here the base umpire is going to set up in position to make a call at first base. So they're going to go right about here. So basically, their job is to go from the A position, which is right on the foul line, into the infield, onto the dirt, and get an angle to make this call at first base. So they're basically going to look here, and they're going to lock in, and they're going to look for, and they're going to listen, and they're going to look and make sure that to record either an out or call safe, as the case may be. If they decide to call safe, of course, their job is to then come into the infield and pivot, and then look out for a call. So if there's a runner going to second base, obviously that umpire is going to follow this runner into second and possibly into third as well. So the plate umpire, your job is to look for swipe tags, pulled foot, make sure that the runner is in the baseline, because if there's interference or if the ball hits the runner and the runner's outside of the 3-foot running lane, you got to make that call as well. So the plate umpire, even though the ball has been batted and now you think, oh, now it's the base umpire's turn to do their job, that's not necessarily the case. The plate umpire has just as many responsibilities. Okay, so let's take care of all those arrows. All right. Now, what happens on a fly ball? On a fly ball, a couple of things can happen. Generally speaking, the plate umpire is going to be taking fly balls pretty much from here all the way to about here most of the time. Okay? There will be some cases where the plate umpire will take a fly ball to the right field as well. And the only case where that would happen is if the base umpire elects to come in and pivot. So in other words, if it looks like it's going to be a routine fly ball, the base umpire is most likely going to come in and he's going to step into the infield and he's going to pivot and take this runner into second base. So the plate umpire pretty much has a wide angle to look at the fly ball. So your job as the plate umpire is to move as close to the fly ball as possible, and then once you see the ball's about to be caught, is to lock in and watch. Okay, even on those routine fly balls, especially at lower levels, no fly ball is a routine fly ball most of the time. Okay, so make sure that you're looking, for dropped catches, dropped fly balls, and at the same time, make sure that you're locked in and not moving when the play is about to happen. Same thing also happens when there's going to be balls that are close to the foul lines. Make sure that you're locked in so you can observe whether or not the ball is in fair or foul territory when it hits the ground, or if it hits a fielder. Remember that a fielder can certainly be in the fair territory, but the ball could be in foul territory, and if there's contact there, that ball's a foul ball, not because it has to deal with where the ball is located, not where the fielder is. Okay, so the plate umpire has a few different responsibilities on those fly balls. Now, what if the base umpire in the A position, he also has an option, or she has the option to going out to the outfield, right? So maybe there's going to be there's a gapper, right? So you got a center fielder and right fielder converging on the ball, and there's going to be a dive or a really close play. So the base umpire may elect to go out to the outfield. Well, if they do that, you as the plate umpire got to bust your butt to get up here to take this runner and make a call at second base if you have to. And if the runner continues, you got to follow him into third base. And guess what? The runner continues, you got to take him back home as well. Okay. Some base umpires will claim that they can make it here, and then after the ball is put back into play, they can run and scoop back in here. But in a two-man system, that's not recommended. Generally, when you go out to the outfield, you're supposed to stay out there so you're out of the way of the action. Okay. So the plate umpire would kind of do this little triangle out of that. Okay, so that's with no runners on base. So plate and base umpire has some duties, has a variety of duties, runners on base. Okay, so let's go ahead and, oops, I had a slide for that. That's okay, we'll move along. Let's go ahead and put a runner on first base. Now when the runner's on first base, the runner now, the base umpire, excuse me, is going to be moving into the B position. Okay, the B position is basically between second base and first base, not at the cutout, not right where the dirt and basement, but kind of in, so you can watch and get an angle on pickoff attempts. Okay, so when you have a pickoff attempt, the base umpire is going to kind of move in a little bit, turn and look. Okay, just to get an angle on that. That's kind of the best thing you can do in a two-man system. But what happens when the ball is hit? Well, when the ball is hit, this base umpire is going to kind of hang out here. The reason why the base umpire is going to hang out pretty much in this zone right here is because they got to take a runner from second, but they also got to make sure that this batter runner who's coming into first base and moves up into second possibly, that they're there for that call. So what are you as the plate umpire doing? You're actually coming up the third base line. You come up the third base line, you take that call on the third base, and guess what? If they continue, or if they feel like there's a gap or something like that, you can call to your partner and say, no, I'm staying home, I'm staying home. So now the base umpire knows that he's got third base as well. So there's going to be situations where if it's a base hit, if it's going to be a double, right, batter runner's going to make it to second base nice and easy. This runner can easily come around and score. So instead, your job is to come over here and be ready to take that play at home. Okay, so you got to just have some situational awareness. If it's a base hit and the fielder's right in front of it, then you got to be ready and bust up to third base and make sure you're ready to make that call. Okay, but if not, stay home. But also make sure your partner's aware of that, because your pre-at-bat signals are going to indicate to your partner that you're going to be coming up the third base line. Okay, next situation with a runner on second. Now the base umpire is going to move over into the C position. Now this is between second and third base, so they can watch pickoff attempts at second and then take the runner into third. At this point, the plate umpire is going to stay home. So on a batted ball, the base umpire pretty much is going to work in this area right here. So this is the V, right? This is the V area. And I'm going to extend this line all the way out to here, because the base umpire also is kind of going to be responsible for fly balls in this area. This also goes for the previous situation as well, whereas the plate umpire's responsibility is going to be outside of this zone, right? So right in here, this is the base umpire's, fly ball, base umpire, right? But if the fly ball is over here in left field or out here in right field, that's the plate umpire's call. Okay, so plate umpire also, of course, is watching fair foul in here. Whenever the base umpire is in the V, in the working area B and C, the plate umpire's got all fair foul calls, all spots. Okay, whereas when there was no runners on base, the base umpire makes the fair foul call up the right side of the infield, on the outfield as well, up to the base, of course. So your job here as the base umpire is to basically stay in this working area. Okay, runner comes in, you got to call here, you got to call here, you got to call here. Your job is to just watch where the ball's going and be ready to go there. The plate umpire, your job is to come up here and to make sure that you're ready for a play at the plate. You're watching tag ups depending on whether your partner's got the fly ball or not. But generally, with one runner on base, the base umpire is going to be taking all the bases except for when there's a runner on first, even with the batted runner coming as well. For the runner on third, there's pretty much no change in what I just showed you. Just that obviously there's going to be a closer to action play at the plate, so the base umpire still's got the working area, still got the same fly ball mechanics as said before. However, now that there is a tag up potential, if there's a fly ball to the right field, so area where the plate umpire is going to be making that call, so right about here, right? So if there's a fly ball in this area, that plate umpire, of course, is going to move up a little bit so they can get an angle on the fly ball. So what does the base umpire have to do? The base umpire is obviously going to be coming over here, and he's going to be watching the tag up. Okay, I'm not, you want to be in that neighborhood right about there to watch, to make sure that the retouch happens. And so if there's a case there's an appeal, the base umpire has the call there. The plate umpire, of course, then once they make the call, is going to come back and then get in position to make a call at home, right? So that pretty much covers batter runner situations when there's a single runner on base, once there's a batted ball. Live ball situations are obviously where umpires shine, okay? This is where hustle comes in, so make sure that you're moving when you are making these kinds of calls and making these kinds of switches and changes. So always be ready to go, all right? So that concludes this part here with single batter runners. Stay tuned tomorrow. We're going to show you some more situations when they have multiple runners on base and some different things that might come up on batted balls. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to STEM Fitness. Visit my website, stemfitness.net, and chime in with any suggestions or things that you would like to see here on this channel for either help with umpires, teaching, or anything else dealing with fitness and nutrition. We'd love to help you out. All right, so have a wonderful day. Don't forget to be awesome.